Okay, hey everyone, welcome to the last boss fight for Final Fantasy X HD. We will be taking on Penance. So, unfortunately it's an hour-long fight, but it is a very difficult fight. It's probably, well, it's up there with one of the most difficult fights in the entire series. So, yeah, I'll be here for the full hour just talking about the boss and, you know, a few tips and tricks that I found along the way. Because this boss can be quite difficult. I think like one of the main things about it is it kind of draws you in to begin with, and then you get really caught out in the second part. So yeah, I'll just let the introduction go. So yeah, the aim behind Penance is, well, the purpose behind him is the fact that since all the Dark Aeons have failed to stop Yuna and her guardians, this is Yevon's last attempt to subdue her and her guardians for good. It's got a few different translations from the Japanese, French, Italian and German versions of the game. Penance was known as Der Richter. That was horrible, I'm sorry. Which translates from German as the judge, fitting as it is considered the last resort. So I could go and ask my German grandmother, who's staying at my house right now, how to pronounce it, but you know, I think I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so in other versions, the Spanish version translates to the final executioner, and yeah, so he's really the last resort, the final boss. Not including Sin, since Sin is the typical endgame boss, but he's not very difficult. This guy makes Sin look like your regular mob that you just run into. So yeah, as you can see, he's got three parts. He has two arms that are, well, they act by themselves, and then he's got his, he's got two forms. So he's got, in his first form, he's got an attack that just hits everyone. And in his second form he attacks people individually, but he can kill you quite quickly because he has after effects after his attack, which I'll go into once we get into second form. But as you can see, my gear is different to the gear that I have been using in the previous boss fights, where this time I have gear that is 20% defense, auto potion, auto protect and auto haste. So I've gotten rid of auto phoenix and shatterproof and or ribbon, because while one of the arms does shatter if it hits you, it's not really relevant to, you know, keeping your people alive, because the aim of this is to stop the arms from being in play at all. So the arms have about 500k HP each, they regenerate. So what you do is you attack the arms, since it's got 500k, and you hit cap. You'll have to hit them 6 times to kill them. So technically if you hit them 5 times each, and just before their turn you kill them, they'll be on the longest regeneration cycle possible. But you don't want to kill them both in the same turn, because you don't want them both regenerating at the same time. You kind of want them interchanging in between left and right, coming back in and just stopping them from attacking. Because one of them has the ability to shatter, the other one has the ability to do a lot of status effects that are quite harmful to your group, because it really prevents you from attacking the boss, which it might sound obvious, but you need to spend as much time attacking Penance as you can, because the arms will take up a lot of your time. This is why the video goes for an hour. Some people have done it in shorter times, but this is how long it took me, but I was just more happy that I did it rather than anything else, because it was a pretty difficult fight. I spent a few hours trying to do this when I recorded it, which is why I'm doing the audio afterwards, because I wasn't in the best mood when I beat him. So yeah, as you can see, I'm attacking the arms again. Penance goes into second form, where his tail drops off, pretty much like the lower half of him, where you can see the crisscrossing where those lights are happening right now. That will drop away, and then he will have a tail that moves, and then he will cease doing that mob attack, and he'll focus on you individually. what I've done while I was talking with those status effects and everything, I used a 3 stars to reduce MP cost to 0, which is useful because in second form he does something where he removes your MP completely. So therefore you won't be able to, you know, use magic things if you need to. And then the other thing that I did was I used mix with Riku, and what I mixed was, well, the thing that I caused to happen was called Ultra Null All. It is the same as having 5 cheers, and it reduces the damage to below 10k, so it means that it won't kill your people. So it's better to use 2 healing springs together by mixing them with Riku's overdrive than using 5 cheers, because you'll just be wasting turns. And it's also recommended that you use quick hit instead of just regular attack. I spent, well, when I first started doing this boss, I read a brief guide on how to do it, but I thought it was an old guide that didn't relate to the HD version, because quick hit has changed a little bit since it was in the regular version. My friend Ash and I both thought that quick hit really wasn't that useful, but it is useful in this fight. I didn't use it in all of my other Dark Aeon fights. I didn't even use it before this boss fight in anything in this game, but it is useful in this boss fight. So yeah, what quick hit basically does is reduces your well, downtime really after attacking. So as you can see, like when I pick quick hit, it puts another go for you in on the right hand side. So see how Unit just got another go after doing quick hit. It reduces your recovery time, so therefore you can attack more, which is very important for Penance and really very important for every boss, because you know, you want to get as many hits in as possible to make it the quickest battle as possible. So yeah, once you've got the Ultra Null All on, the other effects circulating around you might disappear, but it doesn't get rid of the defense. That's something very important to remember, especially after in second form, when he hits you, it will put armor break and mental break on you, which you have to remove, because if he hits you again like that, he'll kill you. So what you have to do is you use a dispel to get rid of it, and it looks like it gets rid of everything. So at first I thought, oh no, I've got to go do that mix again, and then waiting around to get to Eunice go again, you know, everything got kicked out of whack. So that's really what you don't want to happen. You don't want anyone to die, because it pretty much screws up your routine that you're in, and yeah, it slows the whole thing down. So yeah, as you can see, the arm regenerates. It doesn't have a go for a while thanks to quick hit, so you can focus on either hitting the arm or attacking Penance, depending on, well, if you really want to gamble with it. It's better to be safer than sorry and just, you know, get the arm into the prep stage and then focus on Penance after that. So yeah, this is where I feel it kind of draws you into a false sense of security in a way, because he seems pretty harmless right now, doesn't he? You know, like, yeah, he's got a few things about him that's dangerous, but his mobbing attack doesn't kill anyone, it doesn't really screw you up, there's no bad status effects that it puts on you, and the arms, if you just keep them out of play, it doesn't seem like that bad of a battle. So yeah, that's where he kind of draws you in to thinking that you've really got this in the bag. But the difference is the fact that it only takes 3 million HP to turn him into second form, and then you've got another 9 million after that. So right now I might feel like I'm getting a lot of hits in. I'm really drawing his HP down because he's probably going to go into second phase shortly. But the whole strategy changes once he goes into second form, because you've got to throw Dispel into the mix, you've got to focus on what the arms are doing more. And the main reason why I mentioned before you have to avoid getting both arms in the same regeneration cycle is there's a hidden counter that you can't see, therefore it's hidden, where if it reaches a certain point, and you never know when it will reach it, he can do a overdrive skill called Judgment Day, and the counter is 19, even though it doesn't really matter, but it says pretty much the counter increases by 1 every time the party inflicts damage on him, and every one time this guy doesn't really describe it very well. Pretty much every time he uses his immolation, which is not the attack now, I believe it's the attack in second form. Yeah, so it's not this attack, it's his other attack, so pretty much the counter goes up when he uses his individual skill. So that's something else to focus on and ensure not to happen, because it did happen to me once, and it wasn't very enjoyable when it happened to me, because I'm pretty sure it was... I don't have the clip anymore because I deleted all my other attempts apart from this one, because yeah, I really wasn't in a good mood, because I'd tried that many times. Yeah, there weren't many people in a Skype call with me when I was doing it, because I was getting pretty frustrated, because the thing is, you get pretty close to the end. Well, you don't really know how close you get because you can't see his HP bar, but you feel like you're getting close. I looked at the recording time, I was, 40 minutes in, and surely he was about to die, and then he does that, and it's just game over, and you got to start all over again. And I was including the introduction and the discussion of what he does each time until I think about the third or fourth try into it, and yeah, I just decided I'll focus on it now, because I was starting to sound pretty angry when I was introducing it, and yeah, it just wasn't good, and I figured I'd do this later at a later date. But no, it's not like he's a real rage-inducing boss, but it's one of those things where I think someone who, if you weren't really that motivated to play the game completely, you'd probably just give up on him and go, I might get back to it on a later date. But just the fact that I said that I was going to do it, it was just really starting to get to me, because I wasn't able to do it, and I was just like, oh, what am I going to do if I can never ever beat this boss? This is just going to eat at me until I do it. So yeah, I finally managed to do it, and it felt pretty rewarding to do it, because you do get, in the PlayStation 3, and I think, well, in the HD version, you get a trophy at the end, a PlayStation trophy called Perseverance, for beating him. So, especially if you're on a trophy run, that is pretty rewarding to get it, because it's probably the hardest trophy to get in the game. But yeah, so as you can see, it's just repetitive. I don't use Titus's overdrive that hits all three parts, because if you do anything else outside of quick hit, it reduces your... it pretty much turns your goes back to normal, because you've got the same old recovery time. It's the same if someone dies, they have to start doing quick hit again to start building up those extra attacks, really. So it's like having another haste on top of your haste. So yeah, he should move into second form soon, and then there's just a few things to note about what to do initially, just to make it a little bit easier on yourself. Nothing in terms of cheating, but it's just things that don't really become apparent until you actually notice what's actually going on with him, because it's not like he shows the animation or anything. So yeah, the auto potion is pretty handy as well. It's advised that you get rid of all potions apart from X potions before you go into the fight, because if you've got like one potion, someone will use that. If you've got like a high potion, someone will use that instead of using the highest ranking potion there is. So that's a bit annoying. You'd think that they just have a ranking system in terms of importance, but it's not really, the game's not really there to try and help you in whatever way they can. It's just yeah, it happens. So yeah, he's it's nice that he doesn't summon anything else on you, or do what it'd be a lot more difficult if it was like Evray, where because this is sort of where you fought Evray, where he flies away. So yeah, this is the entrance into second form. So his tail falls away, or the casing around his tail falls away, and if you notice, he's moving a lot faster than before. It's because he casts haste when he moves into second form, and it means, yeah, he'll attack more. So as you can see there, he used his individual attack, which gets rid of all your MP, which is why we use the 3 stars. And I kind of paired it up with if your character, if the person who gets attacked, they dispel themselves. That's just the way that I remembered. I forgot it a couple of times, and this is pretty much the reason why it took a little bit longer, because I was starting to get distracted and not really paying attention to staying in that order. But yeah, that's just the best way that I found to remember it, rather than getting someone else to dispel the person who got attacked, because then you're like, oh well, wait, who did get attacked, and then you might miss one, and then, you know, he'll kill them, and it just gets a bit annoying. So yeah, as long as you just remember to dispel after they've been attacked, you'll be fine. His attack won't go over cap, and yeah, see, Riku's fine after the second attack. So pretty much, he tends to target the same person again after he's hit them, just because the mental break and armor break really get at you, and you don't really know that you've got it unless you check. Which sounds like some other stuff, but no, we'll leave that out of that. But yeah, so just dispel and it all goes away, apart from your defense. So it's good to keep the defense there, because it would really suck if what I thought, because you'd think it would make sense if you dispelled, it would get rid of the good and the bad, because back in like normally playing the game, like if someone gets poisoned and you dispel them, or well, you can't really use dispel to get rid of poison, but you know, some sort of status effect that's affecting that if you use dispel on them, it gets rid of their haste as well if they don't have auto haste or auto protect. Like it'd just get rid of those things. So that's why I was thinking that to begin with, but then I realized I didn't bother doing it, and then that same person got hit after I used dispel, and I noticed they lived. So yeah, that was a nice discovery. But yeah, so this is what he just tends to do for the rest of the fight. The arms come and go. But yeah, it's just always mindful to never let them attack, because I got lucky a couple of times with just letting them attack, and sometimes it can just be nothing. Like one of them uses Sloga, and since you've got auto haste, it really doesn't affect you. So yeah, that's pretty much a get out of jail free card, because it doesn't do anything to you and it doesn't screw up your routine. But if you get unlucky, one of them knows, I think it's Tetragraviton. It's like the highest level one, where it'll put a death counter on everyone, since none of your people have ribbon, so they can't avoid it, and then they get either silenced, they get put to sleep, and if they get put to sleep, you just kind of sit there and watch your team get battered until they die. So yeah, one of the arms also knows Calamity, which inflicts poison, silence, darkness, curse, and full break. And it also knows Mighty Guard. So that's the right arm, the one that's not there right now. I know that's the left, but it's his right, so technically it's our left. But yeah, so then the other one, the left arm, so our right, on our right side, uses Sloga and Mega Graviton, which does darkness, silence, sleep, doom, which is the death counter, and deals magical fractional damage that will remove 75% of the character's maximum HP and kill the target. So yeah, it's best just to stop them from getting a turn at all. You might feel like you're not attacking Penance enough, but believe me, it's more ensuring safety and damage over time rather than trying to get all the quick hits in, because believe me, it'll go badly if you just you know, just forget about an arm, and then when they both start attacking together, they really start picking on you, and then he'll do Judgment Day, and yeah, it's over. So yeah, it does get pretty repetitive, just doing the same thing over and over, but it's understandable why it's one of the hardest bosses, because not only is there just stuff you have to remember, you can easily just start to, well, either get tired, because it is a long fight if you take as long as I did, but you can just start to lose focus, and one error can cost you the game. So yeah, it's really important just to remember that, to stay focused. You know, it's okay to talk with people, like I was able to talk with people and do it, so it's not like I was getting distracted that way. And I'm pretty sure everyone had gone off to bed by the time that I beat it, so I wasn't getting distracted that much. So yeah, but sometimes it's nice just to have yeah, someone there just to support you. Like I had Ash, my friend who also plays or played Final Fantasy X with me when I was doing the series all the way through, just the main storyline. You know, I had him look up one or two things when I had queries, rather than me just stopping and going to Google stuff. So yeah, it just because if you really lose focus of what the arm's doing, you might lose count of how many times you've hit it, and then if you notice, like, I might attack them a little bit earlier than their go is. That's just to make sure that I'm not miscounting, because if you miscount and then it's their go, yeah, it can really come back to bite you. And this might sound obvious to say as well, but it's important to have celestial weapons, because if you don't, you won't be able to break through his defense and you won't be able to hit cap. Well, obviously with celestial weapons it allows you to hit over cap regardless, but there are weapons out there that you can get, you know, hit over regular damage cap without being a celestial weapon. Those in particular that are difficult to get. You know, Titus's weapon might be difficult to get if you're not very good at the Chocobo race, but one that's in particular very difficult is Lulu's celestial weapon, where you have to do the thunderbolts. So if you were to main her, which is a very impressive feat, just because she would be someone quite frustrating to train, in my opinion. But yeah, if you were using someone like her, you would need her celestial weapon to be able to do max with her, because yeah, you won't be able to break through his defense, because if you notice, he has protect on him as well. So yeah, it's just something worth remembering, because there is stuff you can forget about going into the fight. I rushed in there a couple of times and then, you know, forgot to set up this or set up that or change gear over, which I've done a few times in my videos before. But yeah, it's just something where you need to really make sure you're completely 100% set to go, and it's probably best just to have like a save file ready to go that has like everything set, so you can just go, like, if you do fail, you can just jump straight back into it and keep going, because that's really what I felt like doing. I just hated feeling like I was wasting time, and yeah, because what I like to do is I read the guide a little bit to see if there's anything I should really look out for, and, you know, I'll read about it and go, oh, that sounds interesting, but, you know, I really want to experience it for myself, so I go in there and, you know, test things out and see what this does, see what that does, and then, yeah, and then you'll learn how to avoid them as well. You can read in the guide, and you might not understand exactly what people are referring to, because like they were referring to quick hit, for example, and I was just like, oh yeah, quick hit's alright, but, you know, I'll see how I go with regular attack, and then I wasn't able to do it. So then I ended up just flicking over to a video where someone did it really quickly, and I noticed that they were just using quick hit and quick hit, quick hit, quick hit, and yeah, they did it pretty well. So yeah, it's just stuff to, you know, look out for, because people learn in different ways. I'm a bit, well, those learning tests you do where, you know, there's 3 main categories, and you know, you're either, you know, a visual, a hands-on, or like a listener, and it's frustrating because I almost get like average in all of them, so I can learn in different ways. But yeah, in this sort of stuff, I do prefer to just go and test it out and then go and read what they're saying about, because then I actually have hands-on knowledge of what they're actually talking about. So that's really one way to do it, because, you know, there's no harm in going there and just trying and testing a few things out before you actually go there and have your mindset to actually do it, because if you have your mindset to go in and do it before you really know anything, it can get a bit frustrating. So yeah, I went in there all guns blazing the first time trying to beat it, and then, you know, he did a couple of things, and then I just went into my trial and error. And I tried a few different things where I would wear different gear when he went into second stage, because I figured that since he well, pretty much went into, you know, a different form of attacking where he didn't attack everyone, I would just change over to like Tidus's ribbon gear, and Riku and Yuna would have the Shatterproof plus like Auto Protect, Auto Haste, and Auto Phoenix. And I figured that since my people were dying, well, if they did die, I wouldn't be wasting time doing a Phoenix to bring them back. But then you're also losing the benefit of having Auto Potion. So Auto Potion is much more important than Auto Phoenix, especially when your people don't die. So if it's a perfect run, no one should die. And that's just something to keep in mind. Like, I was just trying to work out different methods just to how I would have preferred to have done it. But yeah, if you do it properly with the Ultra Null All and having the 20% defense on, it's pretty much a no-brainer to be able to survive. And yeah, if someone dies, you just go through the whole routine again of just making sure everything's right, and then you just get back into it. And it really shouldn't take you that much off the path, but yeah, it sometimes can. But with a boss like this, while doing it quickly is quite rewarding. I just think being able to beat it in the first place is rewarding in itself. But yes, something else to keep in mind as well is that if you want to capitalize on the amount of attacks you get in, if like I had the choice of making other people as my mains, I would have done people who counter after their attack. So in my party, Tidus is the only person who counters, and other than Tidus, there's also Auron, Walker, and Kamari, who also use counterattacks. That is part of their celestial weapon. So, you know, it's pretty much just like another round of hits each time he attacks, because he's going to attack one of them that have counterattacks. But really, I really do enjoy having Riku out because of the mix ability. You know, if you otherwise it'd be difficult to get the whole Ultra Null All going. Because it's an overdrive rather than, you know, a skill that people can learn. Yeah, you can do use, but it doesn't work the same as mix. So yeah, it really comes down to who you prefer to battle with, and having Yuna there as well. Like if you need to bring out an emergency Aeon, to cop a hit. Not that you really need to do that in this. That's actually an interesting factor where you don't really have to bring out Aeons at all. Like that, they don't really play a part in this final fight in terms of avoiding an overdrive, or just some sort of dangerous skill that can really end game you, because you don't really know when Judgment Day is going to happen. If if you do leave both the arms out when it comes around to his turn, he can really go into it at any time around now, because you hit him more than 19 times, and he's sure he's done immolation a couple of times, but probably not 19 times. But it's probably a high count. So yeah, it's interesting that you don't really find it necessary to bring out an Aeon, even with doing damage, and it's probably a waste of time, because you've got to keep focusing on other stuff that's happening around you. The arms, even though other people, other Aeons might be able to do damage to all of them, it's probably just a waste of time bringing them out. But of course, as I did kill Dark Shiva with Zanmuto, you can bring Yojimbo out and do Zanmuto, and it will kill him in one hit. But I just wonder how much you would actually have to hit him with that for it to work, and it's also probably a low percentage chance for that to happen. But it'd be interesting to see regardless. It'd be kind of a letdown though, because you really throughout the whole Dark Aeon fights, I was kind of thinking, I'm working towards the final step of this game, and yeah, it's pretty rewarding at the end to feel that you've done pretty much everything in the game that's possible, apart from training your other people up to max stats and everything else, and having them do cap and getting their celestial weapons done. But it's some people do that. I would just prefer to have 3 that I focus on for like a whole video series, and then do it all with the game, and feel like I've completed it. Because back when this game first came out, at the start of it was in 2001, 2002, I believe, that it came out. I never got this far. I pretty much saw where one of my friends had gotten up to inside Sin, and I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I really didn't get up to, well, really the end of Sin, so this was the first time I'd actually finished the game when I started doing a series of it online. So that was pretty cool, just to be able to experience that as well, because it's different to the Metal Gear Solid videos that I've done, where I've played the games through countless times and I know the storyline, and it's difficult to sit there and talk about it and experience it, because you're just like, oh, that person's doing it because of this, and spoilers. So I knew sort of what was going on in this up until a point, and then the rest of it was just a surprise for me. So yeah, it was a nice experience, and doing this kind of just really capped it off, and I just feel satisfied with it, because I was saying to Ash once, like, I tend to get really attached to stuff if I play them for a long time, and stuff like Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid I have been playing for a long time, and when you reach the end of the game, it's just like reaching the end of a TV show where it's not going to be on anymore because it's the final season. You kind of just feel yourself missing it, and yeah, I just said to him, what would happen if do you feel like you'd ever just be able to stop it and not just play it anymore after you finished it? If you just saw there where I had to use full life, that's where I made a mistake, because I forgot to use the spell on Riku, so therefore he killed her in one hit. So yeah, there's sentimental value, I guess you'd call it, but change is a thing, and you've just gotta go with it, or you can really just hang on to it. But I think I'd get bored of one thing if I just kept doing it over and over and over again and nothing changed. With a game like this, yeah, you can play it in different ways, don't get me wrong. You can play it with different people, main different people. You can do the different sphere grid, you can go through with doing no sphere grid and see how far you can get. It's really interesting to see what people have managed to do with stuff like that. But yeah, it's an interesting game where you can do things different ways if you really, really wanted to. I think it would be interesting to do the no sphere grid completion of the game. I just don't have the time to focus on it solely just to do that, because Maple is still my main focus and the main focus of this channel, of course. But this is just kind of the fun stuff that I do on the side, because I tend to play stuff like Metal Gear Solid, 1, 2, 3, 4 every once in a while, just to relive it, and that's where I came up with the idea. Why don't I just do videos of it, so if I feel like it, while you can't really compare to playing it, it's always enjoyable just to go back and watch a specific part. Like, for example, the part where I'm up to in Metal Gear Solid 4 at the moment, where we've gone back to Shadow Moses, back to the beginning of Metal Gear Solid, where you really met Snake for the first time, other than in the non 3D or the flat version games in Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and that, sure, it might have been enjoyable, but nothing really compares to what's going on with the ones on PlayStation 1 onwards. So as you can see here, I'm starting to make a couple of mistakes. It's nothing life-threatening, I managed to dig myself out of it, but this is where you start to waste the seconds and minutes just trying to fix everything. So yeah, it's nothing major. It takes you off the trail for a little bit, but once you get back on it, it's fine. So yeah, I just used the 3 stars again to reduce the MP count to 0. So therefore, if someone does attack you, and you don't have any MP, it's nothing really to worry about. But yeah, so it happened at points where the arms weren't in a dangerous position, so like it wasn't like, oh, they both regenerated and I don't know which one to kill first, and if I don't kill this one, they tend to attack one after the other, so regardless of which one you take out, sure, one might be more dangerous than the other where it can shatter you, but the other one has Calamity, which can doom you. So yeah, it's dangerous all around. Pretty much just like yeah, really with a boss, it's meant to test you, so yeah, you've just gotta stay focused and yeah, make sure you cover all your bases. So yeah, it's just best not to get distracted. So I'm pretty sure this one, yeah, see, so it didn't die, and while Calamity just affects one person, the Graviton skill will put Doom on you. So yeah, like, fortunately Yoon is not asleep, so you can fix it, but if that were to happen to everyone at the same time and get it's just, there's so many ways that this boss can screw you that you're not really aware about until it actually happens. So yeah, it's difficult to make decisions, because I think I was explaining this when I was in the call, like after a few annoying battles with this guy, you almost just find yourself like it's a game of chess, and you're about to get checkmated and you can't get out of it. So the game's about to end, you've still got a few goes, but you're just looking at it and you're just like, there's nothing I can do to counter this guy, to stop what's about to happen, and you just kind of have to accept it. So yeah, that's the dangerous side of battling him. Like, he might appear harmless right now, but if you do start to slip up, he really can catch you out. So yeah, that's why you just have to kind of sit back and go, alright, what do I have to fix before I jump back into the mess of all of that. So get all your people right, make sure they're safe, because, well, he didn't attack Yuna then, but if I hadn't done the spell and he'd attack Yuna, it would have just set me back again where I had to revive her. So yeah, it's all about routine, it's all about just making sure you stay focused. So, I don't know, sit down, have a cup of coffee, have something with caffeine in it. Don't be watching or reading or really focusing on something else. Like, don't be talking on the phone and be distracted by the person you're talking to. It might be a bit rude to be doing that, but Skype calls are kind of especially gaming Skype calls, you kind of just accept that that's going to happen. Like, yeah, someone might be doing something difficult and you will just swear every once in a while and not really hold and maintain a strong conversation with you, but you can understand what they're doing. We've all been there before. So yeah, I do get lucky a couple of times where it doesn't appear to be an overkill, but it'll still disappear. And yeah, see, again, it didn't disappear. It does Sloga, so I got lucky, and it just completely misses because no matter what you do, you can't get rid of auto haste if it's already on the equip. So yeah, that's the fortunate side of it. And just for, well, peace of mind, I did that again, just to make sure everything was fine. Because there's no actual way of telling that defense thing is actually on, because with the whole status ailments, it'll tell you what you've got, but then it won't come up with the defense to say, you're fine here, you're good, and keep doing what you're doing. So yeah, it's more just it's better to be 100% sure than 90% sure or 99% sure and have that 1% come back and bite you in the ass. Yeah, so there's a few interesting facts about this boss as well, where the no sphere grid challenge that I was talking about, no one has been able to beat this guy with the no sphere grid challenge without using Zenmudo. So people have used Yojimbo in order to beat him without having any points in their sphere grid. So having people, it's pretty much not accepting a job in Maple and being a beginner all the way, apart from you don't really get the stats either. Not really the stats would benefit you in any great way being a beginner, but yeah, it certainly would present a challenge for people, because yeah, there are people out there who would really just strive to do that, but yeah, I'd much prefer watch something like that than do it. But yeah, the fortunate thing about this boss, and pretty much most of the bosses, if not all, in this game, is that there is no timer, so there's nothing pressuring you into killing it in any set amount of time. You can screw up as much as you like, as long as it's not a permanent screw up, and just allow yourself to recover, reset, and keep going. So yeah, it's really all just about timing and strategy, just making sure just keep an eye on your move tab on the right, just to make sure you do have enough set aside to handle an issue should it arise. So yeah, it's manageable. So yeah, I just don't want to keep repeating, even though I'm trying to emphasize the importance of strategy and staying focused. But yeah, believe me, if you were this far in and you don't really know how much HP there is to go when you're this far in, because when I was doing this, I was just looking at the time and going, surely it's gonna fall over sometime, sometime around now, because the video that I watched, the guy did it in 30 minutes, so that was kind of not the ballpark figure, because I knew mine would probably take longer than that, just given the not the rate of error, but the possibility of errors to occur. So yeah, it's in each to their own. So you can play the game trying to do it the fastest way possible, or you can just do it for the enjoyment. So yeah, hopefully no one judges me for how long this took, but it's more the achievement than how it was achieved, in my opinion. But yeah, there's also something also to note about Penance where, as I mentioned before, you don't really need Aeons to handle this boss or really to do anything at all. He pretty much absorbs anything elemental, so fire, lightning, water, ice, holy, everything's absorbed. So, which is kind of like the mistake that I made, not that it was a big mistake, but against Dark Anima last week, where I brought out Ifrit and used Hellfire on Anima, and it healed him for, well, cap damage, which isn't that big of a deal because, you know, when Ifrit died and I brought someone else out, I hit it and it just restored everything to normal, so it wasn't like it really healed him that much. But yeah, it's worth noting, like, if you use Lulu or, well, anyone else can really do double cast and magic attack of any kind if they do have the full sphere grid, which my guys do. But yeah, it's really not worth wasting your time with, so yeah, just focus on quick hit instead. Yeah, so this is probably one of the bosses where you don't really have to worry about the amount of stats you have in other categories. Well, other than like attack and defense, it's nothing you really have to be concerned about, whereas with the Dark Aeons you really had to have a high amount of luck going past Dark Shiva onwards to be able to hit them. But yeah, he has high stats, high HP, absorbs elemental, and has powerful attacks. And then the two arms pretty much think for themselves, but fortunately they stay out of the way for a pretty large part of the fight. So yeah, it's really got one set strategy in terms of how to do it if you do complete the whole sphere grid to get, you know, for everyone to get quick hit and be able to, you know, do it properly. But I'm sure that if there's probably another way to do it. I was really hoping that I was coming up with my own individual way to do it, but yeah, I ended up just following another person's lead. But yeah, it was really just this boss is being really, really difficult, and yeah, he needed to be handled. So quick hit was necessary. So yeah, if I could go back, I probably would use quick hit against all the other Dark Aeons as well. Not that it really impacted on how I did things, but it would have just made it a little bit easier in some ways. But not that any of them were really as dangerous as this guy, because all you do is just watch out for their overdrive bar, which you can actually see, and act accordingly for when that was going to be threatening towards you. But yeah, that's about it for those ones. But yeah, I'd probably say, looking back on it now, I'd say Dark Bahamut was probably the hardest out of them, and probably following a close second would be the Dark Magus Sisters, because I found those three in the group fight rather than the individual to be quite difficult. In the individual they were harmless because, well, together that's where they sort of relate to what Penance is like, where all three of them, if they had their overdrives at the same time, they would do delta attack, which pretty much game overs you like his Judgment Day would, where it just doesn't give you a chance to recover from it, regardless of the fact if you had auto life or anything like that. You know, you just get steamrolled and then had to start over. So yeah, they were all different in their way, and it was interesting how the game developers managed to make them all not significantly different, but there was a different threat about each of them. And I'd probably say Dark Bahamut and then the Magus Sisters. So yeah, once you learn how to handle the Magus Sisters, they aren't that bad. So, you know, you bring out your own ones to counter that delta attack, and then you just make sure that either all their overdrives don't match up at the same time, or you kill one of them, and that pretty much breaks the trio. And yeah, they just become easier after that. But yeah, next to Penance, I spent the longest time battling Dark Bahamut, just because of how you had to be careful with him. It was almost like a prep fight for this, just being careful with how you acted and exactly what you did. So yeah, he's somewhat similar. He's got some similarities to Penance, but Penance is definitely a lot more threatening. But even though it doesn't look like it, this is actually being fought over the Calmlands. At the end of the Dark Anima fight, it showed him getting unlocked, and he pretty much comes out of the crevice, and yeah, he's pretty much hovering over the Calmlands, although you have to be in the airship in order to fight him, because you fight him on top of the airship, like you did with Evray that was guarding the main city. So yeah, it's doesn't really look like it, you know, with the sky being all green and the clouds being below you. But yeah, I don't know. I do like the music though that's in the background. It's repetitive, but it's not one of those annoying ongoing themes that, not that many of the songs or themes in this game are annoying, but yeah, some of them can be a bit just frustrating if you're trying to do something and it's going to take you a while to do it. You know, you really don't want to listen to it. But yeah, this music is suitable to the fight because yeah, it matches the scene. But yeah, it's funny when you go up there and hit him and he sort of just sways a bit, and then you just kind of look at the screen going, is that it? Is that it? Is it over yet? Yeah, so he's keeps acting like it's almost over. But yeah, it's kind of a slap in the face that the game developers didn't put in a HP bar just to let you know where you were exactly, but at least like it doesn't show you the overall stats when you die, just to let you know like how close you actually were or how far you were away. But yeah, as I said, the time of the battle is pretty clear to show you like how close you are to the finish or not. So yeah, you kind of just wish like you could I think I brought this up in the Skype call, where, especially with bosses in Maple, I'm sorry for you guys who are watching this that don't play Maple, but yeah, where there's characters often have skills where you can bind the boss and almost seal them, and you kind of wish you could do that to the arms just to keep them completely out of play and for however long it would last, but you know, maybe a few minutes. But yeah, rather than, not that killing them and keeping them out of the fight this way isn't bad, but yeah, it is an easy way of handling them, but it's you kind of get the feel for like when they're supposed to regenerate and the cycle that you get them into. But yeah, you kind of wish that cricket was at the top of your skill list rather than right down the bottom. But yeah, he does pause there for a little bit, doesn't he? Yeah, I remember as I was approaching the end of the fight, the first few times I fought him, you kind of got the suspicious feeling that you were getting towards the end and that this was actually going to be the one. But yeah, I learned very quickly not to get too worked up over, you know, being very close to beating him, because before you know it, it's game over. So yeah, it was a good feeling when it actually, you know, disappeared for good. But yeah, it was, I really wasn't getting ahead of myself. Even at this point, I was just like, one little distraction, one little slip up could really just send me right back to the beginning. Yeah, it's kind of funny to think that, like, if you think about it, since you don't know how much HP he actually has left, and you spend your whole time prepping the arms to get ready to kill them, and then all of a sudden you hit him, and yeah, he dies. It's kind of like, so instead of hitting that arm 5 times, I could have just taken a gamble and hit the boss. But yeah, I was hoping it wasn't going to work out like that. But yeah, so as you can see, like, I got the arms into a good routine of killing one just as the other one came back, just so that yeah, there was no chance for them both to be working together. It's just a shame that the damage that you do to the arms, none of it really fractionally goes towards Penance itself. You know, like a small 10% of it actually affects him, or like destroying the arm so many times just gradually wears him down, as well as doing damage to the main body itself. So yeah, even though it did feel like I was getting close to the end, yeah, I still was going to focus on the arm. But yeah, that's the kill, guys. So it was a pretty good feeling when it happened, and I'm not sure whether I actually did that by accident, whether I was actually supposed to attack the arm, because the arm was coming up to attack. So yeah, but that's the final boss for Final Fantasy X HD, the final act, in a sense, for this game, which is sad in a way that, you know, reaching the end of the storyline completely it's amazing the amount of AP these characters get just for beating him, because I really don't need these points anymore. But yeah, no, it felt pretty good knowing that I reached the end of the game, and everything was beaten apart from, you know, Sin in this version, but I'd already beaten Sin in the main storyline. And it wouldn't really be fair if I went and battled them now with these characters, because, you know, they'd pretty much just walk straight over the top of him. So, yeah, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the Dark Aeon boss videos I brought out, as well as the main storyline. And, yeah, I'll provide a special link in the end with all the other annotations for you to click on to find out what's coming up next. I'm not sure what the reaction's really going to be, but I was pretty happy when I worked out that I was able to do it. I was pretty bummed out when I first found out that it was actually available on PlayStation 3 for a little while and then got taken away, but I worked out a different way to be able to do it. So yeah, that will be starting next week, in pretty much replacing Final Fantasy X HD videos. So yeah, it's a little bit of a step back, but not that big of a step back, because it's something that I never finished completing either. So yeah, it'll be pretty exciting to go in there, and the amount of dark matter you get for beating him is just absolutely insane. And dark matter is used for ribbon, but since I don't need that anymore, it's kind of pointless. But yeah, alright, well, that's it for this video, guys, and yeah, be sure to click that secret link and leave a comment for what you think. Alright, see you guys later.